Thank you very much. And thank you to BUIDL Asia for having me today. Yeah, today I'm here to talk about Celo and our transition to an L2 and share a lot of the experience that we've had through this transition. So first off, if people don't know, Celo is an L1, EVM compatible L1, but focused on building for mobile users and making payments very quick, cheap and easy and fast. Recently, we announced the intention to go to turn from an L1 into an L2. And we were very excited to see how many people supported this transition. And in addition to that, a lot of folks initially read our proposal and thought instead of us using OP-Stack, a bunch of teams came up and made a recommendation to potentially choose another L2. This was probably our most active proposal on the forum in a very long time. And I think it makes sense. We'll be one of the first L1s to transition to becoming an L2. And with that comes a lot of challenges and things to consider. And hopefully I can share those things. So taking a quick look at how you would propose a L1 to transition to an L2. Celo is a proof of stake network. So we already have a set of over 110 validators on the network. And our belief is that we can provide a path for those validators to become decentralized sequencers on the L2. And so that's been our pitch. And so far from the validator community, they're interested. If you look at how much revenue is being generated through L2 sequencing, it's quite a lot of money. And so anything that can help grow this validator community into decentralized art sequencers, I think is great. And then also there are many, I think, attempts right now to change the centralization of sequencers into a decentralized process. And I think that's a great move. In addition to that, we're also looking at how we can make data available. So we've been talking with EigenDA to provide that. And then also, when people consider going from like an L1 to an L2, one of the main reasons that they would consider that is accessing more, security. And what they mean by that is more money that's staked in the network. And having more access to that means a lot of the great programs that Celo has pushed and is developing will have a higher chance to attract additional support and be able to grow. So we're really excited about that. Some of the other work that's already gone into Celo's network is Plumo, which is a ZK a light client with some ZK snark scheme that allows for very, very light amounts of compute on a mobile device and things like that to perform transactions. And so we're going to be bringing that plus a bunch of other things like I think we have like 5-second finality. We want to bring all those great things to the L2 partner that we choose. So when we announced this, the Optimism team reached out, Polygon, ZK team, ZK Sync, and also Arbitrum. And so a lot of these teams submitted proposals on the forum, and we were excited to evaluate these. So in this case here, we've shown the evaluation notes from a technical perspective, and I'm really hopeful that we make a decision soon. I think the big challenge here is it's a big decision, and there's some ways to move back, but when you make that decision, you want to make sure you make the right choice. Other things we've been doing in the space have been pulling together, thought leaders in the space in the L2 world. And so if you haven't heard about L2 Unplugged, take a look at that. It doubles as both a Twitter space plus a podcast. We've had Vitalik on there. We've had Turam from Eigenlayer, Dankrad, and a bunch of other very smart people, including ZK Sync team recently, Optimism, and others. So worth listening to this if you're interested in the L2 space. So what I'm really here to talk about is a kind of thrown around term that we say a lot in our space. We talk about 1 billion users, the next billion, the 100 million, a million, all these million, billion numbers. And at the end of the day, Celo started with the intention of truly unlocking this from the beginning. And so what we mean by that is Celo was initially launched with a mobile focus from the beginning, and with things like even climate. I think Celo launched on Earth Day. So when we think about refi, Celo was launched on Earth Day. So we've thought about this from the beginning, and have tried our best to make it as welcoming as we can to new people coming into the crypto space. When we talk about what mobile first means, everybody has a phone nowadays, and mobile first and mobile apps in general are designed in a way that are very different from traditional Web2 applications. And the reason this is important is, you need wallets, especially for people in emerging markets, to be simple enough for them to manage their money, because not everybody is entirely literate. And also, if you take a look at any of the Web3 tools, many of the tools are very complicated and have advanced features, or it's not that they're advanced, they're just very complex. And so to cater to billions of users, it's important to think about building for something that, that the least tech savvy person in your family or friend group. The work that we've done also to research this has also been not just talking about it, but also meeting people. And so the Celo Foundation team has run about 12 different studies where we've gone out into emerging markets, talked with people, and a lot of what they're looking for has been, in some emerging markets like Kenya, it's very common that if you have someone's phone number, you already know you can send them money. And we want to bring that same experience to Web3 as well. When you talk to not just users, but you're actually digging deeper with merchants, they have certain requirements, right? They want to make sure that their customers are able to pay, their customers are able to cash in money if they need to bring money into the system, and if a merchant needs to pay a vendor, the merchant needs to have access to that money as well. And a lot of these mental models around, buying something or running a business, a lot of those models are established. And so you want to make sure that when you're bringing new technology to people, it matches the mental model that they have. And so going from a mobile phone where I have money on it to sending it to a merchant, and then them sending that to a vendor to pay them off for products and services, it's really important that these things are considered and thought through. So when we dig a little bit deeper into how we're helping to unlock more real-world use cases, we take a look at high scalability, and what we mean by that is very low fees. On Celo, fees average under half a penny, in some cases like 0.1. And why that's important is when you look at a lot of the transaction volume that's even happening in the recent L2 since Denken, it's still, if you only have $1, sending a transaction for 1 penny is still 1% of your money. And so we want to keep the cost as low as possible, and be able to scale to lots and lots of people using this for payments. Additionally, if you're a merchant, you run the risk of having someone do a chargeback or something like that. And so one way that this can be solved is through things like, fast finality. And so with Celo, the average transaction finality is about 5 seconds. And so if you pair that low cost with finality, you don't have to worry about a transaction getting reversed or reordered or major changes like on Ethereum, for example. We also want this to be user-centric and focused on people. So a couple things that Celo offers is gas being paid in stable coins. So sounds like a simple thing, but from the beginning, Celo has allowed a couple stable coins for gas. And what this means is that if I knew everybody's phone number here, I could send you maybe $1 of a Celo stablecoin, and you can immediately start transacting on the network. Additionally, managing phone numbers is hard, and so not everybody who's coming into or learning about Web3 for the first time understands how complex it is to create a wallet and make sure you save the keys, and then send the person their specific wallet address. With Social Connect, you can use your phone number. People can use your phone number to associate that phone number to a wallet. They can associate a GitHub, email address, any sort of social identity. And what that does is it makes it easier for people to send people money. Similar to how with ENS, everybody has their, I have Eric Nakagawa.eth, and that can be a very easy way to look things up. You can also use your phone number in that same method of like associating yourself, something personally identifiable to one of your wallets. Since we're talking about money at the end of the day, and for not just businesses, but people, you need to make sure that people can easily off-ramp and on-ramp, including from even in some cases like Kenya, they have a concept of mobile money. You want them to be able to swap between mobile money and airtime, and into whatever coin they might need. If it's a Kenya shilling or if it's USD, you want to allow them to do that. And then to make this happen, you need to work with a lot of cash in, cash out providers. So Celo has introduced a project called Fiat Connect, and Fiat Connect helps to simplify the experience of cashing in and cashing out, so that when people are comparing their options, like one thing that is very common for Celo community users is they're trying to cash in, let's say $10 worth of money in. Some of these rates can be 9%, and so if you put a market to allow people to connect their cash in provider or cash out providers, then they can start to compete over the percentages. And like if once there's competition, businesses like those cash in providers, cash out providers are gonna want more volume, and so what they'll do is they'll start to lower their rate, which is better for both the users. They pay less in fees, and for these cash in, cash out providers, because they're generating business. Some quick stats on Celo. We've had these stats are a little bit old, but over 350 million transactions on chain. But for me, the most important part is the number of countries that people are using Celo in, over 150. And we have a lot of active users who are, using it for payments, cashing in, cashing out, moving money. And we're very excited about, the growth there. In terms of the DAUs, because that matters a lot for builders, which is where I tend to focus a lot of my attention. Celo has had a lot of growth. And these charts, how they are, they change over time, but we've seen quite a large growth due to some new projects that have launched on Celo, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. So going back to, how do we truly bring more people on? It's what I said before is understanding the mental model for people where they're from. If they're business owners, making sure you understand what they need, and matching those experiences. And we think that, when you're looking to build on or partner with a blockchain, it's really important that people put the users first and make sure that they're thinking about their user experience, making sure to figure out how to, if they can cash in, make sure you can figure out how to cash out. And I think if you pull those all together, like how Celo has done, then the focus can be on, building really good user experiences for people to do things with their money. Earlier today, USDT officially deployed on the network. We're really excited about that. And the reason we're excited about this is, for us, stablecoins are a very strong piece of Celo's strategy from the beginning. We want to make sure that we have stablecoins for every user, no matter where they are. And so right now we have examples of USDC, USDT. There's some Celo-specific stablecoins, like an over-collateralized Mento, CUSD, CReal. Real is for Brazil. And then you have the Angle Protocol Euro. And having access to all of these means people know that, ironically, some people want to have a stable coin, or they want to move to and switch to whichever one they believe is the strongest. And so allowing them to have access to all of these and more means that they can make sure that when they're sending value, like if you've ever sent money overseas, a lot of that value can get lost along the way. And so by using stablecoins, this allows you to ensure that the value that you intended to send makes it all the way there. It also helps with savings. So some people who are in places like Nigeria will use some of their money to hold into savings or to hold until they need to make an expense. And keeping it in like a stable coin allows them to, allows some of them to kind of navigate high inflation countries like Nigeria and other African countries. It also helps with lending, right? People can get loans, businesses can get loans, and we can talk about that. And then for P2P, if you're sending money between folks, you want to make sure you are using, the best, the most valuable thing to send. So going back to how Celo was launched with the mobile focus, one of the first things that was built was a mobile wallet. And the first mobile wallet built on Celo was Valora. And in this case here, you can see a really simplistic, emphasis on how much money is in the wallet. And this is another example of a very simple UI that allows people to access all the dApps that they need, keep track of their money sending, receiving. And Valora has also introduced really easy ways to, within the wallet, quickly do actions within each of the dApps. And one example of this is like if you're in a liquidity pool, you can use Valora's hooks to very quickly like claim that pool. And these things make it easier for people who, they're keeping a close eye on their money and they want to make sure that they can, grow that or use it however they want. We've seen, or they've seen over 100 countries, users in 100 countries, and over 1 million downloads. The kind of bigger thing I wanted to talk about today, helping us as a community get to 1 billion users, is this new project launched back in September. And this one for me, if any of you are going to be at Seoul, my goal is to really pitch developers to build for Opera MiniPay. What Opera MiniPay is a wallet built into the Opera Mini browser, primarily focused in Africa. They have over 500 million downloads, and I think upwards of 80 million active mobile users. And they recently switched on their wallet, and the growth has been incredible. So here's quick video here. So that example of the wallet is already live, and we've seen a ton of people using it, and we're very excited. So when you look at those numbers, you're like, did you really grow that fast? Well, we grew because Opera Mini switched on tons of wallets, and very recently we broke 2 million. So 2 million people have connected their wallet to the Celo network, and we're very happy about that. These are 2 million people that are, again, based either in Nigeria, Kenya, Ghana, South Africa. And, these are their first, in many cases, their first wallet in Web3. And I think the big opportunity here is if you had, if you look at our community in general, a lot of us are building stuff and hoping to get users. Well, with Opera Mini, it's the opposite. It's like, hey, there's 2 million people, and they gain about 10 to 20,000 new people every single day. So if you're building financial tools or new ways to send payments or with friends or things like that, then Opera Mini is a great way to invest time and energy. One of the key things that Opera MiniPay does that is different from most wallets is we abstract away the connect wallet button. So when you open Opera MiniPay, it automatically connects to the Celo network. And the reason for that is if this is your first experience, we want to make it as simple and easy for people to start using the Web3 space. And the primary focus is on stablecoins. So once you have stablecoins in your wallet, you can transact. You don't need a Celo token. I mean, you can use that, but the wallet will sense what's available. And just yesterday, USDC got added to that list. So if you have native USDC in your MiniPay wallet, in your Valora, you can start transacting and interacting with apps like from the moment you receive any money. So it's been really great to see that growth. Other projects I would like to just quickly talk through that are helping to reach the billion people are examples like BUIDL. So I know there's some teams that have heard of this. BUIDL is a UBI tool. And what it really is financial empowerment, helping people to gain a little bit of money through a daily check-in. I think you can claim every single day. And the way that BUIDL, kind of fights civil resistant is it requires people to identify themselves through some biometric information. And they've distributed a ton of UBI. And this is probably one of the largest UBI projects, I think, in Web3 in general. In addition to that, we have Impact Market. Impact Market within MiniPay allows people to do learn to earn. So you can learn more about financial information or learning, what does it mean, to take a loan. Not everybody knows these things. And so through Impact Market, they've produced a bunch of great learn to earn campaigns that helps to incentivize people to learn about these things, either get a little bit of tokens that they can then, stake and earn or swap and things like that. They also offer UBI too. So we got learn to earn, you got UBI, and then you have short-term loans that people can request from Impact Market. Another protocol on Celo that we're excited about is Talent Protocol. This is more like your on-chain resume. And what people can do is they can join a community, either locally or globally, that helps them achieve, set goals and then achieve those goals and then retain those goals on chain. And so, you've seen a lot of people that they want to get into the Web3 space, they want to learn to code. People use Talent Protocol to do that. Other projects, kind of similar how I said Celo launched on Earth Day. Climate work has been important to us, and the chain is also carbon negative. I think maybe since 1 or 2 weeks after launch. One example project that I think is relevant to everybody here is this project CEL2, which their goal is to help 1 billion people plant 1 trillion trees. But the way that they're doing this is through gamifying helping the planet. And so a very interesting project, and one that I think who here wouldn't plant a tree if they had a chance? Many of you have heard about Flow Carbon. Flow Carbon is an organization that's meant to focus on bringing carbon transparency to the carbon markets and bringing that all on chain. I think they've financed a bunch of projects or carbon credits to bring them into real world asset and climate type projects. One really cool project is Toucan. So Toucan produces the first market for biochar, and now we're starting to get into kind of more climate projects. But they have done, I think, 50,000 retirements. So if you've ever heard of carbon offset credits, well, it doesn't mean anything until you retire them. And so when you retire them, you actually wipe them off. And they've done quite a bit of that. And the new trend right now in climate has gone from carbon credits into biochar. And so you would start seeing or hearing biochar come up. And the reason that this is more interesting than previous topics is it's easier to track and it's higher quality. And the quality does matter when you're looking at climate stuff. But there's also Huma. Huma is another project recently launched on Celo. And the intention here is to provide credit for small to medium-sized businesses. Their payback rate is, I think, very high. I think it's almost identical. I think they've had tons of their loans repaid. And I think that just shows that there are businesses and people that need access to this to finance. And through their own maybe local markets, they can't access it, or they can't access enough. Or if you look at some of the rates that are given to some of these teams or these companies, it's ridiculously expensive. And so with Huma, people can put up certain amounts of money to be loaned out, and because of that, I think it helps a lot of businesses that are out there. One other project, I think this is a final example, is, we talk about yield farming. The project Ethic Hub actually has a token that lets people generate yield from physical farms. And I think it's really cool because I learned that coffee farmers in Latin America, some of their interest rates are potentially 50%, and if you know about farming, there's only, so much money you're going to generate from a farm. But if your rate is 50%, you're very beholden to, making sure your farm does produces, and then you very likely have to have another loan the next season. And so with Ethic Hub and Ethic's token, people can access much more favorable terms that help them to lower the cost for their for producing for their farms. And I think it's a great project. And I think when you look at accessing people and helping people, we talk a lot about people that aren't even in tech or are on the fringes of tech, and how much more on the fringe can you be than someone physically farming. And so this is definitely a project worth checking out. So to kind of tie it all together, thank you folks for being here. I'm a big believer in Celo. I used to work at some very big projects, and I've been in the space for over 10 years. But the thing I'm most attracted to Celo for has been its focus on mission, trying to help real people, and really trying to help connect people to real world examples, real world use cases. And Celo's been doing this for about 4 years. The chain launched about 4 years, but our focus has always been on people. And I think it's finally becoming a thing where I think a lot of people who are building in our space, I believe when they get to their second project, they start to look for more meaning. And Celo has a project that has, meaning built from the beginning. So if you have any questions, happy to answer them, or happy to talk more. If you're participating or people participating at ETH Seoul, I'll be giving a workshop and also mentoring throughout the weekend if possible. But that's it for me. Thank you, everybody.